Hi everyone, hope you're all doing good. Okay, so this is the fourth round draw for the 39th edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game. So in the last round, we had six people. After only Trig was eliminated, we are now down to just five left in this fourth round draw. So we'll just quickly remind ourselves who they are. They are Calfoth, Chimpsmack, Dr. Maxis 2, Knife Rusty, and the MMA Historian. So there are um, five remaining lucky bastards, and for this round we have UFC Fight Night: Anthony Hernandez versus Gregory Rodriguez, and I think this is one of these main events where my personal bias is showing through a little bit here because Anthony Hernandez is the bookie's favourite for this. I think only slight favourite, but personally, I've got Gregory Rodriguez to win this one. I've picked him by second round knockout. It's basically, um, I suppose it basically comes down to if you think Anthony Hernandez's ground game is going to get the better of Rodriguez's striking, or vice versa. I think Rodriguez's striking is going to cause more problems than Hernandez's ground game will. Um, and I'll admit it's a little bit biased because Rodriguez is one of my favorite fighters, or one of my favorite active fighters. Uh, so definitely became a fan of his after his knockout over Jack Hermanson with that super necessary, as Jorge Masvidal would have put it, punch when he was already unconscious before the ref stepped in. Um, I mean, obviously, I know it wasn't necessary, and that does more harm for fighters than good. But that's one of my guilty pleasures of MMA is super necessary punches like that. Um, I don't have anything against Jack Hermanson at all, and he didn't deserve that. But um, yeah, that's just one of those things. I can't help but be a fan of a fighter that's that cold about their work, shall we say? But But anyway, that's my prediction for that. He's Rodriguez is in the better form recently, riding a three-fight win streak. Knocked out Bruno Ferreira last time. Um, and Hernandez did get knocked out by Sean Strickland last time. And Sean Strickland is an elite middleweight, so there's no you can't really hold that against Hernandez at all, really. Um, But yeah, I do think he's going to struggle against Rodriguez's striking prowess. So Gregory Rodriguez second round knockout's my prediction for this one. But of course, you're not all here to listen to my rambling. You're here to see who you're going to get drawn with for this round of the Lucky Bastard game. So uh, let's start the process. First is Calfoth. Let's see who Calfoth's going to get drawn with. And he gets Sergey Spivak. So that is Sergey Spivak for Kalfos in the co-main event against Vita Petrino, of course. Probably not spelling this right. Um, but yeah, Sergey Spivak there. Personally, I've got him to win by a first round submission against Vita Petrino. Um, Obviously, Spivak, the more experienced of the two. Not that either of them can be described as inexperienced, but specifically in the UFC, Spivak has a 9-6 record in a promotion compared to Petrino's 7-2, which, yeah, okay, Petrino's is better, I'll give him that, but Spivak's been around a bit longer and he's fought pretty much everyone, really, I can think of on top. If there's a notable heavyweight, they probably fought Spivak at some point. Um, Also coming off his win against Ante Del Gita last time out, he's not really lived up to the hype since joining the promotion, if I'm being completely honest. Um, but there's still a good win nonetheless for Spivak there. Uh, Always looking for early finishes, whether that's by submission or knockouts. But I think that against Petrino, who's going to try and keep it standing, I think Spivak's best or least troublesome routes to victory will be on the grounds via submission, whereas where I think Petrino will have less answers for him there. So Petrino, not a bad fighter himself, but I just don't quite think he's at quite at the same level as Spivak just yet. Did have a good win over Stephen Asplen last time out, and on a 3 fight win streak himself. So it's going to be a challenge, well for both of them. But I think it's one that Spivak is ultimately going to be able to handle fairly easily. So I think Halford's got a decent pick here. Okay, so we move on to Chimp Smack. Let's see what the wheel has in store for Chimp Smack. And Chimp Smack gets Chris Padilla. Chris Padilla for Chimp Smack there. And he's up against Nasrat Hakparast. Probably butchered the pronunciation of that name. I've got Hakparast to win by a decision, which is how most of his UFC wins have come. Um, I'll start with Chris Padilla first, anyway, before rambling a little bit about Hasperat. But given that it is Padilla who Chimp Smack has been drawn with, um, good start in his UFC career, still undefeated in the UFC, 4 wins and a draw. Um, it drew is that draw came last time against Markel Medros, and is a very entertaining fighter. Looks very well rounded and always looking to finish it early, which is always adds to the entertainment value. Fans always take the fighters that looks to end fights, particularly if they have a habit of finishing them early. Which almost sounds like the opposite style to Hasperat in some regards, and I'm sure the crowd will be behind Padilla more than Hasperat. Um, Hasperat lost by knockout against Quillian Salkills in his last fight, although given how um, talented Salkill's proving to be so far, that's again, I'm not going to hold that against him too much. Um, but before that, very dominant string of wins, 5 win streak to be precise, and it's just his fight management and ability to completely nullify the threats of his opponents over the course of 3 rounds. And the fact that I think it's part so surprising that he got knocked out last time because he very rarely gets gets beaten, let alone finished. Um, but I will say that's is more the exception rather than the rule. And even though Chris Padilla again is another very I suppose it's similar style of threat to the one that Salkeld posed last time. I don't think Padilla's not on Salkeld's level, so I don't think it's Hasperat's going to have to worry too much about that. And I think Hasperat's going to be able to handle Padilla. And again, I suppose because he needs to win now, having come back from his loss, he might play it a little bit safer. So I think it's going to be a very cautious fight from Hasperat and one that will ultimately get him the decision win. So I suppose Chimpsmack might have to hope that maybe his confidence has been um, knocked after that loss, but I don't think it will. I think Chimpsmack's going to need a little bit of luck here. Okay, Dr. Maxis 2 is up next. Let's see who the wheel's got in store for him or her. Actually, I don't know the gender of Dr. Maxis 2. Can't presume anything. Well, we can presume that he's going through to the next round because he's got Anthony Wint, uh, one of the largest favourites on the card, probably the largest favourites on the card. Um, Anthony Wint for Dr. Maxis 2. Um, yeah, just made a note of the betting odds here on the notes I've scribbled down, minus 1,000 favourites. So there's really no excuses for Dr. Maxis 2 not getting through here. Um, so Anthony Wint, 7-0, making his UFC debut after that 34-second knockout win against Matt Adams on the Contender Series. And that pretty much sums him up. Pure knockout artist. Coming up against Terence Chapman, 5-1, making his UFC debut. All five have been in Fury FC, very decent regional promotion. I'd say probably just below your PFLs and LFAs and what have you, probably the same level as, or maybe a slightly lower level than CFFC. Um, but still, there's a lot worse out there than Fury FC. But having said that, it does look like he's being brought in to give Winter a knockout win. As a good opponent for him, but as a very similar style, really. Again, looks to early knockouts, but yeah, I just don't really think Chapman has much of a chance here. So it does look like the UFC have just brought him in to be knocked out by Anthony Wint effectively. And okay, maybe they might give him another fight if he's signed a 2-fight contract. Um, maybe they'll feed him a bone. Maybe next time they have another um, fighter. Well, who knows? Maybe even a fighter that they think Chapman might be able to knock out if they think he's got potential to be a star in the promotion. But anyway, for this fight, I can't see anything other than a very dominant win for Anthony Wentz. So Dr. Maxis 2 is about as lucky a bastard as you can get this week. And it would be interesting when it comes to the permutations later because I'll go through them at the end. But obviously, with the we're being we're down to so few people left in this game. Obviously, it goes through the usual. At least two goes through results in another round, and if there's only one left over, then they'll win the Lucky Bastard game. Or if all of you went out, then the wheel would be declared the winner. But I think now that we've got someone with Anthony Wint, I think that eliminates the last option. I think it's going to be a case of either Dr. Maxis 2 wins it this week or somebody else goes through with him. But there's no way I can see him going out this week. So Dr. Maxis 2 owes a huge thank you to the wheel, if we're being honest. Okay, so Knife Rusty is next up. Let's see if he's as lucky or knowing the wheel will probably give him Terence Chapman now. But let's see. Let's see who he gets. Oh, he gets Renier de Ridder. Renier de Ridder there for Knife Rusty. De Ridder. And in what I like to refer to as like the tertiary main event, the third one down from the card, he's up against Roman Dolidze. And again, I think this is another fairly good pick from the wheel. I think De Ridder's going to win by decision here. De Ridder, obviously, I still associate him more with one FC, where of course he was the champion over there, double champion over there. Um, and he's had a little bit of a rocky start to his UFC promotion at times, but 4-2 in the promotion now. He's got himself settled down, even if he's not quite at the same championship heights he was over at one. Um, he coming off a loss against Cal Baralho in his last fight. That's part of his two fight win streak. He's a two fight losing streak he's currently on. Sorry. So that is yeah, it's I say it's not a bit of a rocky start as I mentioned to his UFC career so far, but against Roman Dolidze, I think this is the sort of level he should be sort of competing against, and yeah, I think he gets it done. Obviously his submission threat is his main threat that he poses in this fight, and it'd be interesting to see if Delise can handle that. I think he should be able to. Delise is a tough guy to finish, so I'd be surprised if he could find a submission over uh, over Delise. But I mean, Delise himself's not having the best of fortunes. Also on a two-fight losing streak. Lost against Christian Leroy Duncan by unanimous decision last time. Um, and again, Delise, slightly opposite style of fighter, really looks to try and keep it standing. Looks for the knockout, but decent on the ground when he needs to be. So I think this is going to be everything points to a Derrida decision win here for me. Um, as he sort of looks to snap that losing streak and yeah, sort of get back to being settled in the UFC, I suppose. With uh, it's going very well for him, but obviously took a bit of a knock. So I think this is sort of a bounce back fight for him here. Okay, so we move on to the last one now, the MMA historian. Um, let's see who the wheel is going to pick for the MMA historian. I think overall the wheel's been fairly kind so far. I think of the four drawn, I've picked three of them to win personally. So see if that generosity continues here. And he gets Jaisla Chavez. Uh, Jaisla Chavez for the MMA historian, I believe, making her debut in the promotion. Or no, she's not actually. Won her last fight in the promotion, her UFC debut last time out. Sorry, against Unesti Dubin by split decision. Off the top of my head, I can't recall that fight if I'm being completely honest. But um, Chavez looks good though. Knockout power. Can go the distance if need be. She proved that in her last fight. Um, and up against Carly Judas, who I think is going to win this one. To be honest, more experience in the UFC for a start, and three fight win streak at the moment. 3-1 in the promotion. Lost her UFC debut, but then bounced back, winning three in a row. Um, particularly with that unanimous decision win against Juliana Miller in her last fight. And um, yeah, like I say, she's I suppose a bit unusual in women's MMA. She's a knockout artist, always looking to uh, finish the fights, and I think that I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Chavez is going to be a little bit outmatched here. Um, so Carly Judas for a second round knockout, and it is noteworthy that Judas is the minus 500 favourite, and I agree with those odds. So I think the MMA historian is going to need a lot of luck if he's going to get through. And not that I don't think it has any bearing on the fight at all, but it is interesting to note neither Chavez or Judas has ever won or lost a fight by submission in their entire career so far. Um, So we can definitely expect this to be a stand-up brawl between the two of them. But anyway, the MMA historian, I think, will need a bit of luck here. Okay, so that concludes the fourth round draw for the 39th edition of Tapology Lucky Bastard Game. Just to run through who's got what, we've got Kalfoth with Sergey Spivak, Chimps Mac with Chris Padilla, Dr. Max's 2 with Anthony Wint, Knife Rusty with Renier de Ridder, and the MMA historian with Jace Chavez. So there's no head-to-heads or double-ups here. So make your own mind up as to what the Lucky Bastard Game main event is going to be this week, if there is one. And as I was saying about the permutations earlier, I think obviously, as I mentioned earlier, two or more go through. We'll have a fifth round next week between your remaining Lucky Bastards. Um, if there's only one left standing, they're declared the winner, and we'll have a new game next week. Or worst case scenario, all of you get knocked out, and the wheel is declared the winner. Although this week, given the fighters drawn, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's a risk, and well, this isn't going to be the last round. I don't think. I'd be very very surprised if it was, because of these, I reckon Calfoth with Sergey Spivak, um, Dr. Max is 2 definitely with Anthony Wins, and Knife Rusty with Rene de Ridder will be going through. It is possible that Chris Padilla or uh, Jace Chavez might also get a win, but I think they're more likely to be eliminated. My prediction would be 3 go through to the to a fifth round here, but anything can happen in this game. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night. But all that leaves me to say is best of luck to all of you. Best of luck with your picks on Tapology. If you've got any real life bets on this card, then good luck with those. And until next time, so long for now.